Psalm 130, 138, 7, 8. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve me, my life. You stretch out your hand against the wrath of mine enemies, and your right hand delivers me. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands. I remember recently, when I was in jail and when I got out a couple months ago, there were some incidences where I was still trying to, every day you gotta walk out your faith. You gotta walk out what you believe, you know? Whether it be right or wrong. And in my heart of hearts now, I know what I believe is right, you know? And where I was at, there was a vacuum in the pod that I was in. There wasn't prayer calls, there wasn't Bible studies. And God impressed on my heart to start something up like that. And I had got that going. I had got it started. Or God, more or less, had used me to start that. And it says, blessed are you when you're persecuted for my name's sake, you know? And there was this incident. It was a going on thing where one of these guys who was himself a believer, but also had skewed conceptions and things. He himself believed he was the Lamb, and that Lamb prophesies in the book of Revelations, this, that, and the third. And I tried to see difference. I tried to split the difference. That's not the right mindset, but I'd always try to come to the point across what, you know, he would always try to convince people too, and he tried to convince me. And one time I actually appeased him. I was like, you know what, you might be the Lamb, you know? But in that moment I felt like I didn't feel like Hadrach, Meshach, or Abednego. I bowed a bit, you know, at something that I knew wasn't right. It was false and stuff, and I started to stand up to him. I started to, but in a kind way, in a correcting way. I was trying to point him towards truth. You know, we both believed in Jesus Christ. We both believe he was the Son of God, you know, and he is God. But that was one different thing, and that was always a contentious topic in the in the Bible studies. And I remember a couple incidences. Afterwards, we'd be walking and talking. He would say, he would look at me and say, I see a demon, or I see, it looks like I'm looking at a devil or something. And that kind of hurt me, you know, it did hurt me in a way. And there was moments where he would attack me on things, you know, because I was trying to correct him in a way that wasn't attacking, but it was for his benefit and for benefit of others that, you know, could have bought into it. And I shouldn't, you know, I felt like I wavered on my faith by agreeing with him to pacify him, in a sense, you know. And it ate at me for a while. It ate at me for a while, and there was moments even in my cell when I would tear up about the things that this person said about me, and knowing when I'm preaching this word out of a pure heart and out of love and not contention and strife. And God fights our battles. Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is my banner. You know, I was out in the rec yard one day, and I was eating in my mind. I was playing in my mind, how do I go about like I was trying to fight my own fight. I was trying to say, okay, I was going in my mind, okay, I'll say this, or like I'll say this, that, and third, whatever, you know? And in the silence, it's easier to hear God, and throughout the days we get busy, and there we get busy, but out here it's so much more so, because life happens at you. And when I was sitting there laying on the courtyard one day, I was just, what God put in my spirit was said, just keep walking after me, and I'll work out the things in you, and I'll work out the things in them. And that message was clear. I didn't get it, and then the same day I got it, but it was funny how quickly God had worked it out right there, because instead of me trying to stress out what I could say, how to respond to this. I just kept walking after what I knew was right, you know, what I knew was the truth. There is one lamb, there is one sacrifice, there is one atonement, and that was Jesus Christ. And I remember that very same day, after sitting on the rec yard, or that same day going back in, I kept walking after it. I kept walking. I kept, you know, I began not to agree with what he was saying, for his sake and for my sake alone too, you know, because I can't agree with that. And that evening, after sitting out there on the rec yard, I came to my cell and I sat there. I laid there, and he came up to my bars, and he apologized about saying all these things, walking with me, and he didn't even know that it brought me to tears when he said what he said. He said, "Man," he's like, "I didn't mean what I said about seeing a devil in your eyes or seeing this third and stuff," and it was just like, snap. Like, as much as God's working in my heart, God's working in his heart and her heart, their heart, your mother's heart, your father's heart, your brother, your sister, your friend, your wife, your husband, your neighbor, your boss. There's some hearts that are hardened beyond, I don't want to believe that, but that is the case, beyond, you know, a seared conscience. But it's not for my place to know the heart condition of people. I can test the spirits, I can weigh the spirits, but that's for God to work out. So just you keep walking after God in your heart, and he'll work out the things in you, and he'll work out the things in me. And that's a good thing. And pray for everybody. Pray for yourself. Pray for this world. Keep sharing the light.